Good morning, Year 4s. Today's maths lesson, we are going to be calculating area. So your success criteria is to identify the measurements and then to multiply the correct sides. So we'll come back to that. We are first going to do our starter. So pause the video and do your starter on a piece of paper, and then we will go through the answers afterwards. Okay, so these are your answers. Really important that you did column addition or subtraction, because those would not have been able to be done mentally. And then this one at the end, hopefully you remember how to do column multiplication. So if you got any of those wrong, make sure that you go and do it again to see where you went wrong. Okay, so our big question today: how can we work out the area of this shape if there are no squares? So we've been looking at calculating the area by counting the squares. So we've been doing that the whole of this week and last week. But now I'm going to give you a shape that does not have any squares. So how do you think that this will be calculated to find the area? So pause the video and have a think and see if you can work it out. Okay, so when we are calculating area, we multiply the two sides of the shape together. So we've got a measurement of 6 centimeters. And we're going to times that by 3 centimeters. So 6 times 3 equals 18. Therefore, the area equals 18 centimeter squares. Okay, now I'm going to show you how we got to that answer. So if you think about before when we had squares, all they've done is they've just taken the lines away, they've taken the squares away, but there are still imaginary squares in this shape. So if I had to draw them in, I know that this side going down is going to have 3 rows because I've got 3 centimeters. And then this line across is going to have 6 squares because I've got 6 centimeters. And I'm going to try my best to get the squares the same size. Okay, so if we had started out with that shape, oh, we don't have 6. Let's just turn that into 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if we were given a shape with those squares, we would have counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could have labeled this length 6 centimeters, and then we would have repeated that 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, which is 3 centimeters. So our sum would have been 3 times 6 equals 18. So sometimes you will get shapes where there are no squares, but it is actually the same thing. You could just pretend that there are imaginary squares inside your shape. And all you have to do is multiply the one side by the other side. That's the formula for finding area. Okay, so if we look at these two examples, I'd like you to pause the video. So there's again no squares, but there are those imaginary squares inside. So you can imagine that there are 7 lots of squares going down and then 4 rows going across. And then for this one, you could imagine 18 squares, centimeter squares going down and 5 rows going across. So pause the video and see if you can work out the area of these two shapes. Okay, so the first shape, we had 7 centimeters and then 4 centimeters. So all we had to do is multiply 7 centimeters by 4 centimeters, which equals 28. So then we have to write area equals 28. It's important to put centimeters and then squares, or you could have put squared with the symbol that we've been using this week. Okay, and then for this shape, we'd also multiply the two sides together. So 18 multiplied by 5. Now, if you come across something like this, and it's not such an easy multiplication like that, then obviously we can turn to our column method, because we always use column method for multiplying bigger numbers. So 18 multiplied by 5. And then we would first multiply the ones column. So 8 times 5 is 40. Make sure they line up in the correct columns. And then we do the tens column. So 5 times 10, because remember that 1 stands for 10. So 5 times 10 is 50. And then all we have to do is add 40 and 50 together, which is 90. So 18 times 5 is 90. Therefore, the area for this shape is 90 centimeter squares. So basically, if there were squares in this shape, there would be 90 squares. And in this shape, if there were squares, there would be 28. Okay, so now I'd like you to try these again. And you might need to use column method to multiply the sides together, or you might be able to do some of them mentally. So pause the video now and work out the area of those shapes. Okay, so to find the area, we have to multiply the two sides together. So 10 times 3. So that one we could do mentally, so that's 30. Therefore, the area equals 30 centimeters, and then squared. Okay, so for number 5, we've got 15 times 4. So you could have done column method for this. You could have possibly done it mentally as well and just added 15 and 15 and then doubled it. But we'll just do column method for this example. So 5 times 4 is 20. And then 4 times 10 is 40. And then we add the two together and the answer is 60. So the area equals 60 centimeter squares. Okay, and then the last one, we multiplied 12 times 7, and that is in our 7 times table, so that's 84. Therefore, the area equals 84 centimeter, and then don't forget we have to put squared. Okay, so this is just another way of work. It's the same way of working out area. There's just no squares to kind of help you count all of them. So those of you that were counting all the squares before, you now need to try and move on to multiplying the two sides together using your multiplication knowledge. Okay, so today you need to go onto Teams and complete the questions. If you need to work out your answers on a piece of paper at home, that's absolutely fine. So if you need to do the multiplication using column method, find a piece of paper and do the method. It's much better than just having a guess. Okay, so have fun, and I look forward to marking your work.